All right, killer.
A lot of kids get stuck in between this.
Yeah, all right. What's up? Emmanuel Guzman. Going to tell you a little bit about my covers from over the years. I'm going to start with the first one that I can remember being the first, and that would be Slap. This was a cover shot in '05 by Mark Whiteley, and it was pretty significant in several ways, actually. The first of being that this spot probably never would have been discovered if it weren't for a couple of good friends of mine who lived in that hood, the Visitation Valley in SF, which for those who know is pretty cutty. It's pretty hood, and it's at a school, so timing on it's pretty slim. You can't really get it after school hours because the neighborhood just gets to be a little bit hectic. You don't have your gear out, and you can't really get it during school hours, at least so we thought. That ended up being the case, but basically, I had been brought to it by some good friends that lived in the neighborhood and found it. Nobody that I knew of had even seen the thing. You know, this just epic mosaic, hubba, and the option to go over it too. So we ended up going there actually at the end of a school day. We didn't want a chance going there after hours, and there's a little alley right by there and shit. So we just were like, you know what? Let's just barge it during school. The people that work there will hopefully understand why we're trying to get it in then. And they were so cool about it. And
so they did come out, and
they came out, and it was kind of getting on towards like an after-school program they were having. And whoever was the coordinator of that came out. We explained ourselves, and I said, "Hey, if I get this shot, like, I'll bring you a copy. We'll, show you what we're trying to accomplish here." And so everybody was on board for the most part, and we got it done. And I honestly feel like it only took a few tries. It was like a few tries type of thing, and then I was riding away. But it was just epic, like breaking in the new spot, which was just so like photogenic and just aesthetically amazing. And then the homies turning me onto it, so they got to be a part of it. They get to have the assist.
How long do you figure you'd been on Santa Cruz at this point in 2005?
At this point, I was still am, because there's an interview in there kind of highlighting the different levels of people's kind of like skateboarding. And I have an interview kind of like depicting an amateur's road to trying to turn pro. And so at this point, I had probably been on officially for like a couple years.
Cool.
I had been on them for flow for years before that, but just like anything, I feel like it was official a couple of years before that I got my first ad and was like on the team.
Cool. And which one should we do next?
And then let's see. I think the next one would probably be like these ones, honestly. Right. Although, it would probably be these ones, because I think 2006 we were. I was on a Santa Cruz filming trip in Barcelona, filming for Out There, which was basically, a video that came together in like 3 months over the course of having an apartment in Barcelona and filming out there. And this was another cool story because honestly, it was my first time in Barcelona. 3 months of skating there was amazing, but I was just jonesing for some like transition. I hadn't really broken out much and gotten a chance to skate much transition, and I had heard about this little park on the outskirts of the city called Cañales. And Roden and I were working on an interview, and the filmer was unfortunately like unavailable that day. He had already committed himself to go film some other people. So we just said, you know what, fuck it, let's just go take the train out there, go check this park out. We'll get our like tranny legs on. It'll be cool to just peep. And I had known a little bit about it because I'd seen it in videos, and I had known a little bit about the history. I think P Stone had told me that like his buddy Jose Noro had helped build it, and like the place had some history already going into it, which I was psyched to just check it.
Yeah.
And so we didn't have a filmer, and we were going there to skate with maybe an objective of shooting a photo. Didn't really know what to do, and there were these crazy spine things there that we rolled around on, but we're crazy. We couldn't really think up anything to really do there. So I started messing around in this corner doing back smiths, and it started to rain. And so the whole scenario kind of started to get a little bit like, what are we doing, dude? It's like, we don't have a filmer, it's raining. It's a backsmith more or less, even though that elbow's kind of tight. It's like a little bit of an elbow. I was trying to grind it like wall to wall.
Yeah.
It just so happens, and I've never really traced down the footage. There's some dude that showed up with a camera with a Super 8, and he knew who I was. He was like, "Yo, are you Emmanuel Guzman?" You know, and we started to rap out for a little bit. Like, yeah. Let me get this trick real quick. And so he started filming as it started to rain, and I did a couple of the backsmiths, and so somewhere out there is footage, but never known how to locate it. And then this was in the era that the Skateboard Mag was putting out a shop copy, or a shop version, and then a newsstand version. So I had to go and buy my newsstand version because, you know what I mean, you couldn't go and get it at the shop. Like, you had to go and acquire it elsewhere. So I think I went to like a Safeway or wherever they carried it and found it. And
a lot of people don't realize there were 2 versions for most of those covers in the early years.
Yeah, and they stopped doing it after a little while, but for those first years, there was the skate shop copy and the subscriber copy, and then the newsstand one. And I think this was the newsstand one, and I was pretty psyched because, like, got a homemade Spitfire shirt on. I didn't have any like gear. 3 months living out there, I'd gone through all my shit, and like I was skating these ghetto, like, I have holes in my shoes. You can see my foot through my shoe because we were skating these shoes. They were like 12 euros. They were all cloth, and they were from this store. I want to say it was called like Athletic, or it was just some sporting goods store, and you could find cheap shoes there. And this was in between like getting sent shoes from Vox. Vox was sending me their prototypes in their initial like startup. And so this whole thing, it was just perfect. It was just one of those homemade moments where it was like skateboarding. You know what I mean?
Cool.
And then I got to cover. These dudes at Bill's actually showed me. Ralph called me, and he was like, "Yo, you seen the new Skateboard Mag?" And I'm like, "No, why?" He's like, "You should come in and check it out." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He had just opened up the shop, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, and I knew I had the interview coming out and stuff, but I show up and he's in the office and he pulls it up. He's like, "Boom, there you go, dude. Cover."
Sweet.
I was pretty hyped on that.
Then you're saying
I think the
probably
next
low
one,
card or this.
I think honestly this would have been the next one.
Okay.
Because this was shot while filming for Let's Do This.
Okay.
And Brendan Klein shot this photo. Oh yeah, by the way, should I mention the photographers that shot these? Because I didn't.
Well, we talked about Rodent. You were out
Okay,
with
Rodent, Mark Whiteley,
Yeah.
my brother. Fuck, love the dude. So stoked to have gotten that with him. And then this one was shot by Brendan Klein, also a dear friend and just an epic human. And this was at this pretty like well-known local spot. This ramp has a lot of history. It used to be at this guy Brian Starnes' house, who was somebody I looked up to. He was just one of the OG Santa Cruz like rippers, you know. When I first discovered skateboarding and I saw like how skateboarding was supposed to be done, he was one of the first people that I saw do it. And so this ramp was at his mom's, and when they couldn't keep it there anymore, another friend offered to set it up at his house. And so this was set up at our friend Squid's house, Travis Bleimeyer, and it eventually got taken over by his little brother Whopper. He kind of inherited it when Travis grew up and moved out, but this was the Live Oak East Side, like, you know, ramp forever, and I believe it's still there, but it's just all dilapidated, and it's got some cool hand-poured pool coping on the other side that like is poured into an escalator.
Okay.
And being that it was a friend's house, we were able to pretty much go and skate and ask the parents if they weren't home, like if we could skate it, and we always got to go ahead. And nobody had ever done anything off the roof, so it was like, I want to represent the local hometown like ramp. This is like this is our backyard, you know, scene. Let's get it represented. You know, it's always cool. I always love trying to incorporate hometown shit. So ollied in from the roof this time. I had done it once before, but again, no photographer had filmed it, but hadn't shot the photo. It's just the era, you know. It was like when everybody was still trying to get gear to be able to document skateboarding, and you know the availability was lesser, but either way, you know, all these covers thus far were all surprises to me. This one was cool. I found it walking down Haight Street, slap cover I found walking down Haight Street, walked into FTC and saw it there in the rack. And then this one, like I said, Ralph called, and then this one, same thing. The shop got these sent here, and I had no idea. I came in and saw this here on the free shop. I was like, oh shit, that's me, dude. Like, so I was always hyped on that one. Cool another side story. Brendan had sent this photo in like a postcard to Neil Heddings when he was locked up. And Neil had kept it in his locker for like, or in his room for forever. And when he got out, he gave me the photo. He was like, "Yo, I had this up there. Like, it inspired me forever. Like, I used to, imagine skateboarding on my tray with 4 rolls of toilet paper, like looking at skate shit." And so he's like, now that I'm out and I can skate, like, I don't have a need for this anymore. I want you to have it. So I got that one. Still cool.
And this is 2008.
This one's 2008. This was during one of our 2 Euro Enduro trips for Santa Cruz, and we were touring all over Europe and the UK. And the UK is, always been one of my favorite places to go. I love the dudes that we always get like hosted by, and no different in this case. We had all the sidewalk homies. It was Horsley and Ben.
Powell.
Yep, Ben Powell and
I got him here.
oh, what was the other homie's name?
Kevin Parrott.
No, he's a redheaded dude. Fuck, what's his name? I feel bad. Anyways, it'll come to me. But all solid people, man. And we were on this bridge. I think it's called like the Humberg Bridge, and more or less people had just skated the bank. It's obviously real photogenic, and it's like suspended, 200 feet up in the air. It's a big suspension bridge, and there's mad traffic though just on the other side of this guardrail right there, like, and people are hauling ass, and that is the guardrail for the freeway, so you're maybe like a couple of meters from cars coming behind you going like 70 miles per hour. And so I think it was just a first try thing. The thing's just board width. You're just able enough to get enough like roll and snap before catching a grind. And then you have to power slide before you run into the fence on the other side of the walkway. Horsley shot the photo, and I remember him being psyched right after he shot it and checked it. He was like, "Oh, you're gonna like this, mate. Like, dude, I love the way this turned out." And
Perfectly framed in
and
there.
then sure enough, towards when the time that the tour stuff was coming out, this issue came out, and I got the front of that one, which was pretty epic because that's, to this day, the only international publication I've ever had the cover of. So I've always been super proud of that. You can see a big Santa Cruz dot on the nose. Just always, love representing.
Heck yeah.
And then let's see. I think after that, it would probably be low card,
right?
Yes, and
Out with Rob.
obviously all my covers are dear to me, but this one's got a lot of significance and just like sentimental value. P-Stone's on the cover with me, and that is just something that I will cherish forever. That moment, any moment with him really, but obviously this one's documented in hard copy, and that's pretty epic. But this was just a great day, in addition to all the others filming with him for Prevent This Tragedy. And basically there was a school that we knew of here locally, and there was a perfectly brand new double set that had been built, and Preston had even thrown out like threats of awing it, and I had been there once before and tried to frontside flip it actually. I had kick flipped it and then like warming up, and then started trying to frontside flip it, and I had this whole battle. There was like a whole thing where I landed on like 30 frontside flip bolts and could not ride away, and just destroyed my trucks, went through pairs of trucks, and it was just this insane thing. And I went back with them again, and this day there was like a crew with us. We had like Peabody and Gut and Rob came down, who ended up shooting the photo, and we all went out and skated that day. And so the vibes were killer. It was like a bunch of the homies, P-Stone, Noah, Daft Noah was there filming, and before I even got to trying this, we started to hype up P-Stone on that like double set ollie bet for a keg. We put a keg on it, and the falls in the footage are they're
No stranger to going for it.
Oh, it's so epic. They're hilarious though. They're comical, and basically he just set it off like with these insane falls, and then I had to try it. It was like we were there, we were skating it. And so it didn't even take that many tries that day. I think this day, like, I think I kickflipped it again maybe, and then it took like maybe like 10 tries or some shit. I was just hyped, like, oh my God, I finally rode away after the 2-time battle. And I think Rob hit me up like, yo, is it cool if I use this on the cover? I was like, absolutely, dude. Like, over the photo turned out killer. He fucking nailed it. Like, Preston in frame, just love this one so much, dude.
Red.
And then I guess shortly following that is the Thrasher cover, which again, I mean, even though Preston's not here, he was here because we were filming for Prevent This Tragedy, and he and I had taken a road trip down to San Diego to meet up with Rhino.
Okay.
Skate for a couple of weeks. This was kind of towards the tail end of that trip. We had been stacking clips literally from the drive down, and I had known of this rail and been to it, but for whatever reason, I just like the aluminum, soft aluminum. I just didn't like the thing. But in that particular moment, I had thought, well, shit, we're here, and nobody that I knew of at that point had like backsmithed it as something I felt I could do, and so we got the trick. And I remember being pretty hyped. I bruised my heel while trying it, and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to skate for the next couple of days. And like, I was satisfied with ending. I think with that being the last trick I got that trip. Actually, maybe I got one more clip. But
What city's the rail in?
this is in San Diego.
Okay.
It's in San Diego, and I think it was probably like 3 weeks later. I get a phone call from some just random number, SF area code, and I answer the phone, and it's Phelps. I hadn't had Phelps' number up until that point. Like, Guzman, what's up, Jake? I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? What's going on? He's like, you got the front. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I got the front, yeah. You got the fucking front, dude. I was like, what? I got the cover? No way. Yeah, fuck yeah, congratulations. Boom, click. I was just like, dope. Is this real? Like, is this really happening? You know, and I can't remember how I got verification, but I had to get verification like that. This shit real, and yeah, sure enough, I think that was a thing that he may have even done back then. Like when people got the cover, he called them and let them know, like, we got the cover before it came out. So.
And whose magazine did this go to?
This one went to Ed Dominick, which is so sick. Rhino shot the photo.
Yep.
Ed Dominick, dude, the homie. That's so awesome. That's freaking cool. That's cool to know that showed up at Ed's house.
And then here, the final one is
And then this was the last cover I had, and this was, I believe, in 2013 while we were filming for Skate and Create.
Yeah.
And I had looked at this spot for probably 15 years, seriously, and just never had the resources to make it happen because you need plywood, basically. Like, I think if there was negative tide, there is this reef at one point that you might be able to actually roll onto the like reef itself,
wow.
But I've seen it exposed maybe like 3 times over those years.
Is that here in Santa Cruz?
And this is here in Santa Cruz. It's also on the east side.
Okay.
This is my stomping grounds. This is where we grew up, like hanging out on the beach, swimming. You know, just mess like just fucking off. Like we used to have kegers down there, big old fires. Like just a really familiar and like nostalgic spot. Yeah. And like I said, there's this, you know, flat top up here, and then this drop into this bank, and this photo is sick. Michael Mealy shot this photo. I like this photo, but honestly, it's one of those spots that you kind of have to go in person to see like the steepness of the bank.
Yeah.
Just like a lot of bank spots, right? You can never really grasp banks fully in a lot of stuff until you've been there and you see it. Anyways, the thing's pretty steep, and you have about a 2-foot slot of catching bank once you've ollied off of the thing, because of the way this hangs over.
Yeah.
And so on the first go, I actually like, you know, ollied down, probably landed somewhere here and landed a little bit stiff and like tweaked my knee. And I remember feeling it right away, like, oh man, I just tweaked my knee a little bit. We're set up, we got plywood. This is the only chance I'm gonna have to skate this thing probably, you know. And so second try, landed it and rode away. And we had already been putting in mad work that week for Skate and Create. Like everybody on the team, everybody involved had just been busting ass, and like this was one of the last days. This was kind of like one of the final, you know, the finales. A lot went into putting the plywood, like landing together, getting all the props down there. Jason out in his boat, blasting slugs in the bottom of it and sinking it, like after I landed the trick, basically. They pan out. It's just, this whole production was just insane. And then to top it off, it's in the hometown. It's a spot that's always, you know, like I said, been sentimental to me and like kind of nostalgic. So to be able to, these are like offerings, you know. This one's like for the east side, for Santa Cruz, like for the hometown. You know, a lot of these other ones are just like for my own personal enjoyment, but some of them have a little bit more like
meaning.
Yeah, more meaning.
Well, fantastic, Emmanuel. I think that about covers it.
Killer. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah.
Thanks for meeting up.
Absolutely.